Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Found His Family, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Everything seemed to be going good until Dustin walked into the Hokage's office one day and said, I came to inform you that Tenten and Naruto will both be unable to do missions for the rest of the week and you should pass it on that they won't be around until that time is up. The third looked up from his paperwork and asked, why is it two of my genins are not going to do missions? Dustin said, Tenten is suffering from major B loss and Naruto is from chakra exhaustion as well as a few other problems related to his training. The third said, I have not seen any hospital reports saying Tenten was hurt and how is Naruto out of chakra? Dustin looked to make sure no one was in the office and reached into his pocket and pulled out a kunya and said, I'm sure you know what this is. It's related to that. The third was wide-eyed and asked, how? Dustin smiled and said, I am the only person alive who knows the secret of it and only Naruto will know it along with my daughter Tenten. Well, I need to get back to my home and check on those two. Don't want to be a grandfather. Sire. As he walked out of the office. The third smiled and said, this is an interesting twist. Dustin smiled and thought about what happened the day before. Flashback. Naruto had arrived at the Wolf Claw weapon shop for his daily lessons and walked inside but Tenten was standing at the door and locked it as he came in, putting the close sign on the door and said, Dad needs to talk to us and he said it was important. Naruto nodded and walked into the back with Tenten behind him and saw Dustin sitting at the dining table and he said, I'm glad you're here Naruto. Your training has come along nicely and it's time you learned a jutsu that I have been training you to use. It's time for you to learn the Hiraishin. Naruto was wide-eyed and Tenten asked, but how Dad? Nobody knows how it works. I know you can make the kunyas and all but how are you going to teach him that? Dustin said, sit down and I will explain it. Both sat down beside each other across from him and he said, okay, I do know the secret of the jutsu but I need to ask you Naruto. Are you willing to let Tenten know the secret and are you willing to do whatever it takes to learn this jutsu no matter how embarrassing or stressful it is? Naruto thought and said, yes. I trust Tenten with my life and that of my family. Dustin said, good. Now I will explain the secret of the Hiraishin. You already know that the Yondaime would flash to wherever the kunya was at but nobody had ever figured out how he did it. The truth is he tricked everyone into believing that he was doing one thing while he was doing something else. You see, people thought he was moving at incredible speed to make it to each kunya but the truth is he was summoning himself to each point. As you know from your sealing skills, when you seal something in a scroll and unseal it you are summoning it back from wherever it is. Your dad's kunya are actually the summoners and your dad made himself the item that is summoned. The seals on the kunya are two different kinds. One is the actual summoning while the other is a genjutsu that makes everyone see the yellow flash when he appears instead of smoke. Now that may sound simple, just summoning himself to each point, but the truth is he had a seal on his body that made it where he would be summoned safely. I don't know where he came up with the seals but I know them. All I have to do is put the seal on you and then make the kunyas with the summoning seal on them and then have you practice learning how to deal with more than one kunya at a time. Naruto said, so the big secret is there is a seal on Dad that actually summoned him. That is a big prank. So how do I do it? Dustin said, well, the thing is I have to put a seal on you and since your weight suit is maxed out I also want to put the actual weight seal on you so that way you can keep upping them without having to buy a new weight suit. Naruto said, okay, that's fine because my old one was getting tight anyways. So when do we start? Dustin said, it depends on Tenten because she has the important part of this. Tenten asked, what do you need me to do Dad? Dustin sighed and said, I need your B to mix with the ink to make the seal so that means I'm going to have you let me hook you up to that machine we have for B and no we can't get B from the hospital because the amount we need is more than they allow us. You are going to need soldier and B pills and you will also have to be there to help me if Naruto passes out or runs out of chakra. Tenten looked at Naruto and said, I can be ready in a few minutes. Naruto asked, are you sure? Tenten said, relax, I've done it before for simple seals, so it's not like I don't know what to expect, but it will make me tired for a few days while my body restore my B. Besides, like your mom said, I'm part of your family. Dustin said, okay, we will be in the sealing room. Naruto, follow me. Naruto got up and followed Dustin to the sealing room where they put all the seals on their weapons so no one learned their secrets, and he said to Naruto, okay, strip. Naruto blinked and asked, what? Dustin sighed and said, the seals for the 2 seals I am putting on you have to go over your entire body. The Horatian seal makes a small bubble appear around you, but if say I don't put it on your arm and you performed the jutsu, you could wind up losing your arm, so I have to put in on your arms, legs, torso, and head, and they have to be connected, so you have to be for me to make the seals and connect them. The same goes for the weight seal. Naruto was red-faced and said, but tension. Dustin said, we'll have to see you, yes I know. That's why I asked if you would be willing to do anything even if it was embarrassing, but I need her help in case you pass out, as well as her having to be here so I can have her be running into my ink machine, and the fact that if you ever want to teach this to your children, someone will have to know how to put it on. Naruto sighed and Dustin said, just think of it as giving her a free show to show her how good you look, now strip. Naruto slowly striped and laid on the floor where he was told to when Tenten walked in and fainted. Dustin got some smelling salt to wake her up and smiled to himself, and after explaining what was going on and making her red-faced, he hooked an IV to her that connected to the ink machine that would mix her B along with a special ink so he could make the seals. Naruto looked at Tenten as she looked at him, though she snuck a few glances down from his face but went back up when she felt like she was going to faint as Dustin started to work, but he stopped after a while when he got to the stomach and said, okay, Naruto, I need you to start channel some chakra so the QB seal appears, and don't stop so I don't mess with it. Naruto nods and placed his hand on his stomach, and both Tenten and Dustin saw the seal, and both being experts at seals looked at it a few moments, and Dustin continued putting the seal on. About 2 hours later, and 2 B pills and 1 soldier pill for Tenten, Dustin finished the last seal and activated it, and it burned into Naruto's skin, making him cry out in pain, but soon passed out, and a few moments later Tenten did as well, but from B. Dustin sighed and got a few pillows and a blanket and brought them over to the passed out teens and put the pillows under their heads and covered them up and removed the IV from Tenten's arm. Flashback end. Dustin smiled as he walked inside and saw that they had snuggled up together in their sleep for warmth, though he had put a second blanket over Naruto to make sure no cough accidents happened and Tenten's cloths mysteriously leave her body. He may like the boy and trust him, but he was going to protect his daughter as long as he could. The next day Naruto awoke and felt refreshed and saw Tenten was still out and heard a noise in another room, so he got dressed and walked into the forge room and saw Dustin working on something, and Naruto asked, so what did you mean the other day when you said that you have been training me to use the Horatian? Dustin stopped and walked over to Naruto and asked, do you remember the first task I gave you when you started training? Where I told you that your sword had 4 seals and you only could find 3. Naruto said, yeah, though it was a joke because I still have not found it. Dustin said, the reason you can't find it is because it is hidden. Hand me your sword a moment. Naruto pulled his sword off his back and handed it to Dustin, and he pointed to the sheath and said, since you know more about swords from working here, tell me what's wrong with this sheath. Naruto looked at it and thought a few moments before he said, the end of the sheath is flat where all other ones are rounded. Dustin nods and said, correct. The flat end down there is a special material that transfers chakra, but underneath that material there is a modified Horatian seal on it. Where the Kunia require a B seal, I reworked it where you can put a temporary chakra marker on an enemy with the butt end of your sheath. That's why I have been teaching you to hit the butt end into enemies when you get an opening. If you channel chakra into the sheath like I have been training you to, then you have about 3 minutes after you hit someone with the butt end before the seal disappears, and what's best about it is since it's chakra based, nobody can copy it, and unless there are 2 Hyugas and one tells the other it's there, then they won't know either. Your dad wanted it made that way, so that way if you could not pull out a Kunia because of the situation, that you could still tag someone. He took his own flaw and made it where it was fixed. Of course he had not figured out how to do it, but I came up with that. Now I want you to rest the rest of the day since you have this week off, and we will train you to use the markers. Over the next few days Naruto worked on the Horatian while Tenten recovered and offered advice on how to do it better. By the end of the week both were pleased with their recovery as well as the sealing and training. Naruto and Tenten walked into the Hokage's office to report back to duties but saw Yamato was there and he was not looking happy. Naruto said, "Hey old man. What's wrong? You look like someone else." Yamato said, "Naruto, Tenten, how are you both doing? Are you ready to return for mission?" Naruto said, "Yeah. We both got over why we had to be out of service." The third said, "All right. I need both of you to get ready and meet Yamato at the front gate in 1 hour. Your teams need you." Naruto asked, "What's going on?" Yamato said, "Since you both were out, the Hokage combined both teams but took Guy off to do regular mission. A summon dog arrived earlier this morning saying the mission they are on went from AC rank to A rank. They have ran into a missing nin named Zabuza. They had a fight and Kakashi is down with injuries as is Zabuza but they need more help. Prepare for combat and high-speed travel. Meet me at the gate in 1 hour," and left in a swirl of leaves. Naruto looked at Tenten and both nodded and Naruto said, "Tell my mom what's going on," and they both left. When they got to the gates they were just about to leave when a sudden earthquake hit and then an explosion a few feet in front of them. Dust covered the area and there standing in front of them was a huge-ass toad. A man and 2 women jumped off the toad and took off toward the Hokage Tower. Yamato said, "Come on, we have to go," and took off around the toad which went up in smoke. Naruto and Tenten looked at the retreating figure and Tenten said, "I know the man was Jiraiya-sama but I could not tell who the 2 women were," as they followed closely behind Yamato. Yamato said, "I believe that was Tsunade-sama but I can't be sure. We don't have time to worry about it. Your teammates are in trouble." Naruto looked at Yamato and asked, "How fast can you go, Yamato?" Yamato said, "I can go faster. Why?" Naruto looked at Tenten and said, "Tenten, hop on my back. I'm zeroing my weights out. I know you're fast but you also were not expecting to have to do this right after using so much B." Tenten nods and jumps on his back and Yamato takes off even faster but is surprised that Naruto was even faster than he was now. They matched pace with each other and Naruto asked, "So what do we know about this Zabuza guy?" Tenten said, "H is a former member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist." Yamato said, "He tried to assassinate the Mizukage. According to the report Kakashi sent he has an assistant that is disguised as a hunter nin and is skilled with senbons. Apparently a man named Gato wants the client K and has hired Zabuza to do it. He also has some merc that we may have to deal with. Less talk more travel," and he started to increase to his fastest speed which Naruto easily matched. Back in Konoha, the third when he felt the earthquake and saw Gambunta at the front gate he knew that the end was here. The end arrived a few moments later when the doors to his office were busted off the hinges and a pissed-off looking Tsunade stood there and said, "This had better not be some sick joke." The third said, "Jiraiya, go get Kushina. Shush is at the library." Jiraiya nods and leaves and Tsunade said, "Where are they?" The third said, "Just wait for Kushina to get here so I don't have to reap." Just then Jiraiya arrived with Kushina. The third sighed and said, "Well now that everyone's here and the door's closed I guess I should introduce you Tsunade. This is Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, widow of Minato Namikaze who I believe was your son since Naruto possesses your grandfather's B," as he pulled out the elemental card Naruto first used and showed them that it had wood in it. Tsunade asked, "Why do you suspect H's was my son? As far as you know I never had any children." The third said, "A, because you would not have come back if Minato was not your son since you would not believe Jiraiya in it to come back. B, Minato gave me the clue since blondes have never been popular in Konoha. Besides you the Yamankas are the only other blondes." Tsunade sighed and said, "Damn you. Yes he was my son." Jiraiya asked, "Why did you never tell him or me?" Tsunade said, "Simple, I had him a little over 9 months after losing my brother. You figure the rest out," as she sat down. Jiraiya was wide-eyed and said, "Then he was." Tsunade only nodded her head and said, "We were both too young and stupid to take care of a child and we had a war going on that we could not stop so I put him in the orphanage to protect him. It was not until I met Dan that I felt I was ready for a family and then I tried to find him and saw that he was with you so I decided that it would be best if he never knew and since you treated him as a son I thought it would be best for everyone." Kushina groaned and said, "Don't tell me the Lecher was Minato father. Damn it, that makes it even worse, remembering being put in the pervert's book." Shizune asked, where is Naruto and his sister?" The third said, Naruto and Tenten just left a few minutes before you arrived to go to Wave Country. The mission Thea teams were on turn from AC rank to an A rank. Kushina asked, is Sakura alright? The third said, yes, but they ran into a missing nin named Zabuza and Kakashi been injured, so until Yamato arrives there are only 4 genins. Tsunade asked, where? The third said, they are on their way to Wave Country. Jiraiya was out the window faster than anyone could see and Tsunade was behind them, leaving Shizune and Kushina with the third. Kushina said, you might as well stay with me until they return. Shizune said, I should be with. Anything she would have said ended when she saw Gambunta appear Ajin and take off and she could see 2 figures on top of it and she sighed and said, alright, I guess that I should accept, as she left with Kushina who was worried. On top of Gambunta, Jiraiya looked at the woman beside him and said, you could have told me. I mean, he was my son after all. Tsunade sighed and said, Jiraiya, what kind of parents would we have been? Between me being a depressed alcoholic gambler and you being a super pervert. Not to mention that if our enemies would have found out, then nothing would have been able to protect him. Jiraiya said, I know that, but still I could have spent more time with him. I could have told him who his father was. I could have been there for our grandchildren. Look, I think that's them, as he pointed. Yamato and Naruto were traveling fast when all of a sudden an explosion rocked behind them and there was the giant toad standing there. Yamato said, Jiraiya-sama, what's going on? Tsunade jumped down and looked at the group and looked at Naruto and asked, are you Naruto? Naruto said, yeah, who wants to know? Tenten squealed in his ear and said, Naruto-kun, that's Tsunade-sama. Naruto blinked and said, so you're my grandmother. Tsunade said, yes, though I did not know your father was married or had children. I would like to see you use your bee. Naruto pulled out a seed and said, growth, and suddenly the seed sprouted and turned into a flower. Tsunade said, so you do have it. Yamato said, I'm sorry to interrupt this happy reunion, but we need to move to save your teams. Jiraiya said, hop on Gambunta here. He can get us to Wave faster than running. Gambunta said, why should I, Jiraiya? Jiraiya pointed toward Naruto and said, H is my grandson and next in line for your contract. Naruto blinked and said, grandson. Tenten looked at him and asked, how many powerful ninja are you related to Naruto-kun? Yamato jumped on Gambunta and said, less talking, more moving. Tsunade, Naruto and Tenten jumped on Gambunta and Jiraiya said, use chakra to hold on, as they took off toward Wave. In Wave Country, Sakura was walking through the village when 3 men walked up toward her and one said, you're one of those ninja from Konoha. You're coming with us. Sakura said, I don't think so, as she started to fight. However, since her Tearjuster was lacking and the only offensive jutsu she knew needed water, she was not fast enough and one of the men got behind her and knocked her out. The man that knocked her out said, so much for a genin from Konoha. Another man said, that's what they get for not training them like we do in Mist. The third man said, you both need to shut up. Gato made a deal with us for the capture of Zabuza as long as we take out the old man. He should just let us kill him and collect our bounty, but the Mizukage said to follow Gato orders as if they came from him. Apparently Gato and the Mizukage are close friends. The first man said, I heard that Gato is the one who is running the S-ring for all the BW we have. Well, we better return and inform Gato we have her. And the 3 men left with Sakura over one of Thea's shoulders, but all 3 failed to notice a person eavesdropping on Thea's little talks, as well as the fact that the person melted into an ice mirror moments later. A few hours later, though no one spoke more than a few words for the trip to Wave, they finally made it to the shore before they had to let Gambunta swim on top of the water to make it across. Kakashi sighed as he read the note that was planted on the door with a kunai and said, so Sakura was captured by Gato's men yesterday and they wished to have a trade, Sakura for Tazuna. Sasuke said, it's her fault for being weak. Neji said, it was her fate to be captured. Lee looked at both of them and said, both of your flames of youth are DEMINISHED. Kakashi sighed and then turned his head toward the bridge and said, we got company heading for the bridge. It might be Gato. Let's go. Lee asked, how do you know that Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi said, I have a Kijbunshin at the bridge in case someone comes and tries to destroy it, and it sensed several powerful people approaching the bridge and it dispelled to tell me, as he got up and Tazuna followed as the Genin and Kakashi left. Tenten was having to hold on to Naruto to keep from falling off when Gambunta said, well Jiraiya. This is as far as I'm going. I see the bridge right there that I can see connects to wave, so good luck, and went up in smoke the moment they all set foot on the bridge. Naruto said, we need to find Sakura and the others. Kakashi came walking with Lee, Neji, and Sasuke as well as an old man and said, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Yamato. I knew I felt Gambunta coming toward the island. It's good to see you Ajin, unfortunately that's not going to be easy Naruto. Sakura been captured. Naruto walked over to Kakashi and picked him up off the ground by his vest, shocking the man and said, what do you mean Sakura been captured? Where were you at when she was captured and why did you not stop it from happening? Shaking him like a rag doll. Tenten said, Naruto-kun, put him down so he can explain. Naruto dropped him on his ass and said, where is she? A voice said, she is being held prisoner by a group of mist black ops in Gato's base. They want to ransom her for the old man. As Zabuza walked out of the mist along with a masked hunter Nin. Kakashi, who had shifted into a defensive position along with his team, asked, what are you doing here Zabuza? Come to finish off Tazuna. The person next to Zabuza said, my name is Haku and I am Zabuza's assistant. I overheard the Mist Nins talking when they captured your pink-haired teammate in the market. I told my master, Gato is planning on giving Zabuza to them once the bridge builder is S. Zabuza said, I don't like being double-crossed and the men that have her would K me before I left the island if they could find me, and they have already K 4 of the 7 swordsmen already. They are the Mizukage's personal black ops. Naruto appeared behind Haku with a kunai at his end and asked, where is she at? In a cold voice. Zabuza said, I will only tell if you agree to an alliance. She is safe for now, but Gato said once the mission is complete that the Mist Nins can have fun with her and not until. Tsunade said, you got your alliance, now where is she? Making everyone wide-eyed though since she was a Sannin she outranked everyone there but Jiraiya. Haku said, Gato hideout is 2 miles north of the village. It's a big building hanging by some trees. Naruto said, I'm gone, and took off toward the direction he could see the village, leaving a dust cloud where he was, and Lee said, H is as fast as me. Yamato said, damn it Naruto, you're not going to help her if you get yourself K, as he took off following Naruto. Kakashi asked, Tsunade, you can't be ready to believe Zabuza and Haku, not taking his eyes off of them. Jiraiya said, I may not trust them but I believe them. I have heard of Gato before from my spy network and H is a snake in the grass. I will agree also to an alliance, but should you try to double-cross us Zabuza I will K you. Tsunade said, take a number. Tenten, you stay with Kakashi and the others to protect the bridge builder. Zabuza, you are coming with us, as she took off the same way Naruto did. Tenten said, Jiraiya-sama, please take care of Naruto-kun and Sakura. Jiraiya nodded and took off following Tsunade, Zabuza and Haku. Kakashi sighed and said, so why were you and Naruto unable to be on our teams for the last week? Tenten said, I had severe B and Naruto-kun had chakra exhaustion, as she walked over to Neji and Lee. Lee said, your flames of youth brightly ten. It's good to see you Agian. Sasuke asked, how is the Dobe so fast? Tenten said, that's his secret. Kakashi asked, why did the Hokage send 2 Sannins as well as 2 Genins and Anjunin for this mission, as he looked at Tenten. Tenten said, I don't know why. You would have to ask them or the Hokage. I do know it originally started off just Yamato, Naruto and me. Kakashi asked, then can you tell me why Naruto had chakra exhaustion, as he narrowed his eyes. Tenten said, sorry, family secret. Kakashi said, but Naruto does not have any family to be secrets with. H is an orphan. Tenten said, sorry, family secret, as she looked around and Tenten said, we got company, making everyone look where she was looking and noticed a group of nearly 200 mercs were standing at the end of the bridge. Naruto was running in the direction he was told and heard Yamato yelling at him to stop, and he sighed before stopping. Yamato quickly caught up with him and said, you know better than that Naruto. You don't run into battle without thinking. Tsunade landed beside them and said, which way Zabuza? As Zabuza and Haku landed beside her. Zabuza said, about a half mile in that direction. Jiraiya, who finally caught up, Naruto upside the head and said, you're acting stupid Gaki, think or they will K her. Naruto said, I already got a plan. Come on and don't slow me down. As he jumped in the direction Zabuza pointed, leaving behind several stunned-looking adults and an amused Haku. Naruto stopped at the edge of a clearing and saw the building Zabuza mentioned and said, "Hold on, Sakura. I'm coming," and he put his hands in a seal and created a clone and handed it his weapons and then turned himself into his no jutsu form, but with a pair of shorts on and a shirt that looked like it had been ripped off, and she was holding it together with her hand, but on the inside of the shirt she had a single kunya, and jumped down to the ground and started running toward the building and screamed, "Help! Someone save me!" as she ran toward the building. The group of adults all landed beside the clone in the tree when they heard a female scream, "Help! Somebody save me! H is going to K me." The clone said, "Don't move. It's the real me." Jiraiya asked, "What do you mean the real you?" The clone said, "Imikage Bunshin, who's holding his weapons and stuff." Tsunade was about to say something when she saw 5 men appear out of the door, and the girl said, "Help, that man with the huge sword tried to attack me. Help," in a scared voice. Zabuza said, "I have you know I may be an ass, but I would never do that." The clone said, "Just stay here and watch." It then hanged to look like Zabuza and jumped down and ran toward the female Naruto. The 5 men said, "Zabuza, what the hell are you doing back here? Gato's order us to K you." Zabuza clone smirked and said, "You think you can beat one of the 7 swordsmen? I've come to collect my revenge for that fat bastard double-crossing me," and charged at the men. While they were distracted with the clone, female Naruto ran inside the building and started looking in every room he could find, looking for Sakura. The clone Zabuza got to about 5 feet away from the men and said, "I guess I will have to have my fun later," and ran toward the opposite way. The real Zabuza was, though the clone was limping. Everyone watched as the 5 men looked at each other and started to chase after him, only to stop when the clone turned and said, "S no jutsu," and turned into a blonde hair girl, and they all flew backwards with B, not expecting the man they were going OTK to turn into a girl. With that picture and the thought of what Zabuza was supposedly going to do to the girl in their heads, they were perverted, and the clone charged fast and each of the men in the head with his sword. Jiraiya said, "The kid is either a genius or damn lucky." The clone stopped and looked back and started to shake and dropped his sword, looking down at the bee. Up in the tree, Yamato said, "Damn it," and jumped down to the clone, who unfortunately went up in smoke. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade, who was frozen, and said, "Tsunade, you got to get over it and fast. The kid's freezing up and it will get him K." Zabuza sighed as he saw the reaction and said, "First K." Inside the compound, the female Naruto paused as the information from the clone came back, and he was starting to shake when he heard Sakura scream. Forgetting all about the K for now, he ran toward where he heard the scream and found Sakura in a 4-foot cage, and a man was shoving a stick into the cage. Sakura with it. It had a metal ball on the end of the stick, so it would not K her, but it would hurt her. Naruto glared and said, "You picked the wrong girl to mess with," and pulled out his kunya and was about to K the man when a senbon needle pierced the man in the heart. Naruto turned and saw Haku standing there, who nodded. Sakura looked up and Naruto dropped the henge, and Sakura smiled before fainting. Naruto tried to open the cage, but he heard Haku say, "The key is over here," and walked over to a wall and pulled a key off the hook. Naruto nods and said, "Thanks," when Haku opened the cage. Naruto bent down and picked her up and turned to Tsunade, who had just came in, and said, "I think Shush is just exhausted, but could you check her? The bastard on the floor was hitting her with that pole," and handed her to Tsunade, who set her on the ground and started to check her. He then grabbed his sword as well as his other weapons that fell on the ground when his clone dispelled from Jiraiya, who had picked him up. Tsunade nods as she finished when Naruto said, "Tension in trouble at the bridge," and was gone in a yellow flash. Everyone was stunned when that happened, and they all knew what jutsu that was. Grabbing Sakura, they all took off toward the bridge, but not before Jiraiya left a little message by doing foot shopping cart summon on the building. About 15 minutes earlier, Tenten said, "Sorry, family secret," as she looked around, and Tenten said, "We got company," making everyone look where she was looking, and noticed a group of nearly 200 mercs were standing at the end of the bridge. Kakashi said, "Defensive formation, Tenten, you're a long-range support fighter, right?" Tenten nodded and he said, "I want you to cover us and the client. Neji, take the ones on the left. Lee, Sasuke, you take the ones on the right. I will take the middle and cover both groups with midrange jutsu," and he pulled up his Sharingan. Sasuke glared at him and they all charged but stopped when Tenten said, "Twin Rising Dragon," causing all four of them to look at her as she jumped in the air and started throwing her weapons down onto the Merc K around 75 before she had to land as her weapons ran out. Sasuke glared at her and started doing hand signs and said, "Firestyle, Phoenix Fireball Jutsu," and shot out 7 fireballs and 2 hit a man but he was only burned a little. Neji got into the gentle fist stance and started taking out men left and right with strikes to the heart, and Lee was using his speed to break bones and knocking people out. Kakashi saw there were only about 30 merc left at this point when clapping could be heard and all fighting stopped. Everyone turned and they saw Gato standing there with 3 men dressed in mist uniforms, and Gato said, "I'm sure you will have no problem taking care of them now that they are weakened. I must thank you all for those men so now I don't have to pay them." The taller of the men said, "We will have no problem, the only threat was Kakashi, but as you can see H is still not 100% from his fight with Zabuza and the bloodline user will be S before he can use it," looking at Neji. Gato said, "Good, then K them." The 3 men nodded and walked forward and Kakashi said, "Damn it. Regroup." Lee, Sasuke and Neji all backed up to where Tenten was and Lee said, "What's the plan?" Kakashi said, "We stall for time. Hopefully Jiraiya and the others will finish soon and we could get some more help. I just wished we could get a message to them that we need help since Zabuza said these guys were the Mizukage personal spec ops," as they all got into a fighting stance. Tenten sighed and said, "Got no choice. Kakashi, we can get a message to them, or at least Naruto. Throw this," as she reached into her kunai pouch and pulled out a 3-pronged kunai. Kakashi got wide-eyed and said, "Are you sure, you know what this is, right?" Tenten snorted and said, "Just throw it." Kakashi nodded and said, "I hope you're right," and threw it toward the men and started to do hand signs and said, "Kage Kunia no Jutsu," and the one turned into 20 kunias all heading toward the men and they were all about to dodge when they all landed right in front of them. The taller one laughs and said, "The great copycat Kakashi can't even throw a kunia. I'm disappointed." Kakashi smirked, praying it worked, and said, "I would take that as an insult if it had been any other kunia but those." Suddenly a yellow flash appeared on the bridge and Naruto turned and saw Tenten and the others but flashed Ajin as he felt someone behind him, and when he reappeared he saw 3 ninja from mist and they were turning to attack him. Ajin when he flashed Ajin reaching for his sword only to flash Ajin as he pulled his sword out and flash once Ajin appearing beside a man and S him in the side only to flash on the other side of the 3 and S another man. To Kakashi who had his Sharingan out it was like a dream as he appeared attacked and disappeared in less than a second. As Naruto finished his last flash since after he arrived at the kunia it went up in smoke except the real one. The 1 man on the left fell to the ground but the second one replaced himself with the body of one of the mercs and the third one fell into a puddle of water. However before Naruto had a chance to move the tall one who fell as a puddle of water his sword into Naruto from behind. Tenten screamed and Kakashi became pissed and was about to charge when Jiraiya appeared with a Rasengan in his hand and it into the man who Naruto. Tsunade arrived moments later with Sakura in her arms and Zabuza appeared and said, "Never double-cross a demon," as he decapitated Gato on his way forward where Yamato was fighting the last nin standing. Kakashi started going through hand signs and grabbed his wrist and created a Chidori and ran forward and Sasuke pulled out a kunia and charged the remaining merc who had stood to the side when Gato and the 3 nins arrived and went to them but another one went to K him and forced Sasuke to dodge. A third merc went to him from behind and he dodged Ajin. An axe came down to where Sasuke was and he knew he did not have time to dodge even as the axe seemed to slow down so he closed his eyes waiting for death. Lee appeared in front of him and kicked the man away as Neji followed taking the fight to the last of the merc. Sasuke got up and started joining in the fights and noticed everyone was going slower as he looked at the adults by Naruto but saw that when he looked back Neji and Lee had already finished the remaining men. Tenten after she saw Naruto fall ran toward him leaving the client and slid next to his form and applied pressure to the wound. Tsunade was frozen in spot still with Sakura in her arms when Jiraiya walked over and grabbed Sakura and handed her to Haku who was beside Tsunade and drawed back and Tsunade across the face and said, "You're the only one who can save him so do you job or watch another love one Tsunade moved forward and knelt beside him since the pain and Jiraiya words made her forget her fear and made her hands start glowing green and started healing his body but found that her chakra was being blocked but she forced the healing. She realized the reason her chakra was being blocked is the sword had poison on it. She said, Kakashi, can you copy medical jutsu? Kakashi came over to her and said, yeah. Tsunade said, copy and start using the jutsu. In doing so I can go and work on removing the poison. Kakashi watched her a moment and copied the jutsu, and his hands started to glow blue and started healing Naruto, while Tsunade stopped and started another jutsu that made her hands glow purple and black liquid started coming out of the wound. Tenten had Naruto's head in her lap crying and praying he would be okay, and Sakura began to wake up in Haku's arms and she thought she was in some kind of dream. As she looked around she saw everyone gathered around Naruto and realized that it was not a dream, and she tried to get up when Haku grabbed her tightly and said, no, right now you would only be in the way. Let them help him. Sakura looked at Haku and asked, who are you and what's going on? Jiraiya said, this is Haku, him and Zabuza told us where you were and helped in rescuing you. Naruto K5 people to save you, and then somehow he used the Yondaime Haraishin to come back here to the bridge. I don't know what happened before we made it back, but there was a S-nin along with a lot of S-mercs on the ground and Naruto had a sword in his back. Sakura tried to get free but she couldn't because Haku wrapped his arms around her and she started to cry. Tsunade after removing the poison started helping Kakashi heal Naruto. After about 10 minutes she stopped and sighed and said, that's all we can do. It's up to him to pull through now, as she stood up. Sasuke said, what was that jutsu he used earlier and who do I need to talk to learn it? Jiraiya said, that jutsu he used was the Haraishin and you can't learn it. Sasuke said, why not? Jiraiya said, A, it can't be copied, and B, the only two people in the world who know how the jutsu works is Naruto and the Yondaime. Tenten said, please Naruto-kun, come back to me. Don't leave me. Not like this, as tears flowed down her cheeks. She then said, it's my fault. I shouldn't have let that kunia be used. You told me to keep it for emergency and I thought that with what Kakashi said we could not win, so I told him to use it. Please don't leave me. I love you. And she leaned forward and inside Naruto mind he appeared in front of Kyuubi cage and Naruto asked, what the hell am I doing here? The dark Naruto appeared and said, you're S. The only thing that can save you is your true power. I am not ready to so me and you are going to fight now. And he charged Naruto. So people don't get confused, I will call the good Naruto by his name and call dark Naruto, Arashi. Arashi charged Naruto and Naruto ducked under a punch and Naruto ducked and punched Arashi in the ribs only to receive an elbow to the head. Naruto stumbled backwards but Arashi did a roundhouse kick which was blocked by Naruto, who punched Arashi in the knee trying to break the joint, but he wound up feeling his own knee got out like it was broke. Naruto and Arashi both fell to the ground and got back up but had lost their speed battle for the moment, and Arashi went to punch Naruto in the stomach but it was blocked and Naruto punched Arashi in the sea and felt himself being hit there and they both fell to the ground panting for breath. Arashi said, you might as well give up because you can never beat me. Like I told you, I will always be here and always will be. Every time you hurt me you hurt yourself. Naruto stopped and looked at Arashi and cracked his knuckle and heard Arashi knuckle crack as well, but his hand had not moved. Naruto said, hey furball, what did you call him the first time I was here? My doppelganger. Kyuubi said, yeah, what of it boy? Naruto said, I see. There is no way for me to defeat you for you and me. You can't defeat me either. I know get why I could not hurt you and why every time something happened to my body that it happened to your also. To defeat you I must defeat myself, and Arashi gasped as B spluttered out of his sea and he fell to the ground while Naruto stood there looking at him, not even B. Arashi started to glow green and blue and turned into pure energy that flew into Naruto, whose eyes glossed over. Kyuubi said, you may have beat your own darkness but you will never beat me, and suddenly Naruto was forced out of his mind. Outside Naruto, Tenten had just Naruto when his entire body was covered with green energy that soon turned blue and his eyes started to slowly open and everyone gasped. His eyes were no longer blue but the same color green Sakura was, and he said, is everyone alright? In a weak voice. Sakura had jerked free of Haku when she heard Naruto and ran over and hugged him and said, yes. Everyone fine. Naruto smiled and said, I'm glad. I'm really tired sis. And he closed his eyes and fell back to sleep. Sakura smiled and Kakashi asked, why did he call you sis Sakura? Sakura froze for a moment and said, he trusts me enough that he thinks of me as family Kakashi. Just then a bunch of merc came running to the bridge. A merc saw Gato S and said, they our meal ticket. Let's get them. And they started walking toward the group of nins, being careful because they saw a lot of S-men on the ground. Jiraiya said, I guess they found out that we broke Sakura out, huh? As he got into a fighting stance. Zabuza said, it was not hard when you had that toad fall onto the building, breaking it from its support beams, as he pulled his sword off his back. Tsunade cracked her knuckles and said, you picked the wrong day to mess with me. Kakashi said, I will not let you harm any of my allies, as he pulled out a kunai in each hand. Sasuke smirked, still not realizing his Sharingan is active, got ready like Kakashi. Neji activated his bloodline and got into the first kata stance. Lee said, I will not let you harm any Leaf Shinobi or ally, or I will run all the way to Suna and back 20 times without stopping, making everyone sweet drop. Tenten said, I will not let you harm Naruto-kun, as she grabbed Naruto's sword that was unsheathed at the moment. Haku said, first you boss a beautiful woman and then plans to double-cross my master. Now that HSS you want revenge. I will grant you revenge with a swift death. Sakura, seeing Naruto still out and everyone looked tired but ready to fight, and what Haku said, realizing he was talking about her, said, no, I will not let you harm anyone precious to me. I will not be weak. Making everyone look at her, and she remembered what her mom said and raised her shirt sleeve and bit her thumb and ran the bee across the number 13, and suddenly a beam of light shot out of the number and hit the water beside the bridge. A thick mist covered the bridge, stopping the merc from charging anymore when the sound of something soaking wet walked onto the bridge. Kakashi asked, what was that, Sakura? Glancing at her and then the mist, waiting to see what happened. Sakura said, a summon, as she looked at where it was. The mist started to clear and a man could be seen standing in front of the mercs, and Sasuke said, well, that's anticlimactic, in a smug voice. The man turned to look at the group of ninja and narrowed his eyes on Sasuke, and he had a hockey mask on and a machete sticking out of his stomach. He pulled the machete out and started walking toward the mercs and raised his arm up, and the merc the man in the heart with a spear with a glee smile on his face, thinking he the man. The man looked at the merc and in one motion and walked toward the next man who tried to him by him in the head with a sword. The man plunged the machete into his stomach before pulling it out and going to the next one. The mercs all started to leave, but when they turned around, the bridge was covered with water and a sign said, welcome to Crystal Lake, was by the water. Everyone turned green as the man went from one to another the mercs brutally. Even when they worked together and see his arm and his head, he still kept them as he picked up his arm and started to beat people with it, swinging it like a mace. Soon the mercs were all and the man picked up his head and walked into the water and was gone, leaving behind the bee of the mercs. The water receded and the bridge was just like the water never was there. Sakura ignored it and was looking at Naruto, and Sasuke said, where did you get that summon? I demand you tell me. You don't deserve something like that. Tenten and everyone else ignored him, and Tenten said, I see what she meant by being unable to stop them. I am almost afraid to use mine. Tsunade asked, what was those, Sakura, and what do you mean yours, Tenten? Sakura said, they are a special summoning we were given by a private sensei. I have one and Tenten has the other. Let's get out of here before we have to anyone else, as her hands were shaking. As she walked over to pick Naruto up, but Tenten said, stop, and raised up his wrist and wiped some on a seal, and soon Naruto was covered in seals and they slowly faded, and Yamato said, that's new. What was that? Tenten said, wait, and she grabbed both her empty scrolls and bit her thumb and rubbed some on a seal on each one, and suddenly all the weapons on the bridge she had threw went up in smoke, and Tenten closed the scrolls. She then walked over and picked up the Hiraishin one and sighed as she looked at it. Sakura picked up his sword and sheathed it and put it on her back. Lee asked, how much was he up to? Tenten thought and said, I don't know. Sasuke was fumming and walked over to kick Naruto when he was hit on the back of the head by Jiraiya, who said, don't ever try it or I will you myself, as he bent down and picked Naruto up. Kakashi asked as they were led back toward Tazuna's house, okay, first thing I want to know is how Naruto know the Hiraishin. Tenten said, the what? With a smile on her face, making everyone sweet drop. Jiraiya said, I wonder that myself. Kakashi, who was looking at Tenten, sighed and said, okay, who gave you those summonings, Tenten and Sakura? Tenten said, like I told you earlier Kakashi, family secrets. Kakashi had enough and said, Sakura, I order you to tell me. Sakura said, sorry, only person who knows the source besides those involved is the Hokage himself and we are not allowed to tell under S-class penalty. Kakashi shook his head and said, well, can someone tell me why you and Naruto both had to be out of mission for the past week and why his eyes are now the same color as Sakura's? Tenten said, sorry, family secret, though I will tell you it's equal to what happened on page 36 of Ica Paradise Volume 2. As for the eyes, not a clue. Kakashi stopped and said, you laid beside Naruto all week long. No wonder, he was out of chakra and you had B, with a smile on his face and said, but that still does not mean you can just not be available for missions, as his smile faded. Naruto groaned and said, Kakashi, you train an average of 19 hours a day, 7 days a week without stopping for a day off and tell me how long you last before having to shut down. Besides, what me and my girlfriend do or do not do is our business, not yours, as he had his eyes closed and being carried by Jiraiya. Kakashi asked, well, since you're awake Naruto, mind telling me how you know the Hiraishin? Naruto said, it's amazing what you learn to do when you create 1000 Kijibunshin and turn them loose on a library, train under a weapon maker who has made a legend of himself with his own sealing knowledge and figure out how to create your own seals. Jiraiya stopped and had set him down though Naruto's legs were not holding him sturdy. Kakashi said, so you recreated it. Naruto said, that's your decision to believe it or not. I won't confirm nor deny it, as he smiled. Naruto sighed and said, so what's been happening while I was out and how long was I out? Sakura said, I used the summon I got and it K several more mercs. Naruto said, that's good. Just remember the restriction on it so they don't K you. Tenten asked, how are you feeling? You did have a sword through you earlier. Naruto's eyes glossed over and he said, it's not the first time but I'm fine, as his happy cherry voice was gone and replaced with an emotionalist one. Tenten sighed and handed Naruto the Hiraishin Kunia that she picked up and he looked at it and sighed before biting his thumb and putting the B on it, making everyone look at him, and then he grabbed the sword Sakura handed to him and put it on the back and he said, it was a security seal that was added to them when they were made. If anyone tries to mess with the seals on it before my B is on it, the kunai will explode with the power of 10 exploding tags that are in the middle of it. I don't want to take the risk someone could break down the seals and learn the secret. Everyone was stunned and Sasuke said, tell me how to do it. Naruto said, run real fast. Sasuke became pissed and was starting to do hand signs for a fire jutsu when Naruto appeared behind him with his sword drawn and held against Sasuke and said, I know you were not fixing to attack me for not giving you what you want, now were you? Kakashi said, that's enough Naruto. Naruto said, I have no problem with stopping Kakashi sensei, but I am not going to stand by and be attacked from behind, as he sheathed his sword. Lee asked, Naruto, how much weight did you have on? Naruto stopped and looked at his weights and groaned and said, no wonder I moved so fast. Here we go Ajin, and started walking while applying chakra to it. Naruto's speed slowly started to slow down and then Naruto stopped walking and said, there we go. I am currently at 1500 Li. Tenten S her forehead and said, you did it Ajin Naruto. You forget to multiply that by 5 since that is the weight per limb. Everyone got wide-eyed and Tsunade looked at Naruto and said, you have 7,500 pounds on. Naruto said, no, of course not. That's just my main weights. I also got 200 pounds on my arms and legs each to make them faster than the rest of my body added to the same activation and release seals, like it was the weather he was talking about. Tsunade S her forehead and said, H is going to K himself. I just know it. Naruto said, now why would I do a thing like that granny? Tenten S him upside the head and said, show some respect for Chuinda-sama. Naruto said, but she is a granny. Tenten stopped and looked at Tsunade who had a nervous twitch and said, perhaps you should call her something else. Naruto sighed and said, why, we got Erozanen and Granny here. I think those names fit them just like how I call the Hokage old man. Kakashi asked, so what other skills have you been hiding Naruto besides the Hiraishin? Naruto put his finger to his chin and said, I have been learning, well you're my sensei so you should already know, with a smile making everyone face fault. Sakura asked, why are you different Naruto? I mean, for the last few minutes you have not had your smile on like normal unless you were happy. It's like you removed your mask. Everyone was wondering what she meant among the genin except Naruto and Tenten, and all the adults figured it out. Naruto said, let's just say I fought myself and won and leave it at that. Sakura said, I see. Well, I guess then things are going to get interesting. Naruto asked, how did you get captured if you don't mind me asking, and where was the others? Sakura said, I was sent to the market to get supplies while Kakashi taught Sasuke tree climbing and Neji and Lee guarded the client. Kakashi thought that if I went without my headband out in view then I could maybe find out some info also. Haku said, she was attacked by the 3 ninja back at the bridge and knocked out, though considering the gap is skill levels she did do pretty good to last 2 minutes against all 3, making everyone look at him. Sakura said, you saw that? Haku said, yes. I was getting stuff to help finish healing Zabuza, and when I saw their headbands I decided to follow them and see if they were passing through or after us. I knew who they were since Zabuza showed me them in the bingo book and knew I had no chance against them, and if I used my bloodline they would have killed me regardless. Jiraiya said, I had forgot all about you and Zabuza still being here. I figured you would have ran off already, though everyone knew he was lying. Zabuza said, actually, I was wondering if it would be possible to join the Leaf. Haku and I are both tired of running, and I can give you some information on 2 things you might find interesting. Does the names Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi pique your interest? As he walked over and leaned against a tree. Sasuke started to say something, but soon had put a paralyzing shot of chakra to his nervous system to both shut him up but also to stop him from doing something stupid. Jiraiya said, I can't promise you admittance into the Leaf, but I can promise you safe passage to and from Konoha should you be denied. Zabuza said, fair enough. Orochimaru is the leader of the new Sound Village. He is currently gathering every missing nin that will work for him, but anyone over the rank of Junin has to have a curse seal put on him, which is why I would not work for him. He is planning something big and it's against Konoha. What it is I don't know, but the recruiter I talked to said that when it was over the Leaf would be no more. As for Itachi, I ran into him about a year ago. Him and one of the other remaining members of the 7 Swordsmen Kisame are currently members of a group called Atsuki. They came to me offering me a chance to join and said they would wait for me to decide and told me to meet them in a year in Rain Country. They said Atsuki wanted to create their own hidden village and destroy all the others with the tailed beast help. They say they have found a way to draw on the demon power and to control them. They said that if I joined I would be allowed access to the 3 tail. They also said they currently have 2 of the 9. Neji said, then the Uchiha is a fool. The 9 tails has been destroyed. Naruto thought, no, it hasn't, as he sat down. Sakura thought, Naruto, as she looked at him. Tenten walked over and sat down beside him while everyone else was quiet after what Neji said. Jiraiya said, well, you confirmed what I have been hearing from my spy network. We have a deal, so I will make sure you can see the Hokage and be allowed to leave if he turns you down. Naruto asked, so what now? Kakashi said, we still have to stay until the bridge is finished. After that we will return to Konoha. Tsunade said, Kakashi, I'm taking Tenten and Sakura with me back to Konoha. I want to check Sakura out at a hospital, and also Tenten may have been a help in battle, but she just recently got over Major B from what I can tell, so she needs to be back in the village. Jiraiya said, I'm taking the Gaki with me, Kakashi. I need to check him out and see why his eyes changed color and what was that green chakra. I assume you can finish the mission now with the main threat and the enemy nins S. Kakashi nodded and Yamato said, I guess I will head back with them and to escort Zabuza and Haku. Kakashi said, so you just going to leave us hanging? As he pulled out his book. Tenten asked, which volume is that? Kakashi said, 18, why? Tenten said, oh, I was hoping 19 was out. Jiraiya pulled out a copy and handed it to her, making her squeal, and Kakashi asked, where's mine? Jiraiya said, you need to pay more attention to your students before you get another free one. Tsunade had a vain twitch and said, I need to have a talk with her. Naruto said, no, shush is fine just the way she is, as he got up and walked over to Jiraiya. Jiraiya bit his thumb and ran through some seals, and Gambunta appeared, and Jiraiya said, I need you to take us back to the mainland, Ajin Gambunta. Gambunta said, if you call me out one more time besides a fight or to drink I will sit on you, Jiraiya, As Tsunade, Yamata, Zabuza, Haku, Sakura, Tenten, and Naruto jumped up to join Jiraiya before Gambunta jumped away. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.